Hi, I'm Samuel C. Spitali, author of How to Win the War on Truth. In this video, we'll look at the truth about states' rights. Whether you believe the cause of the Civil War was slavery or states' rights depends greatly on where you grew up. That's because our textbooks differ wildly from state to state. Even textbooks with the same title and publisher can have different content inside, customized to the individual politics of each state, especially when it comes to race and American history. Some states, like California, might highlight the diversity of historical figures, while other states, like Texas, might highlight the influence of Christianity. So, when it comes to the Civil War, why do some textbooks cite slavery as the cause, while others cite states' rights? How did this division begin? And is it as old as the Civil War itself? Well, not quite. Before the Civil War started in 1861 and until its end in 1865, historical documents repeatedly show that the South cited slavery as the cause of the war. This is evidenced not only in declarations of secession, but also the Confederate Constitution, official resolutions, military pronouncements, pre war settlement efforts, and lobbying activities. The North even called the war the Great Pro Slavery Rebellion. In 1861, just 3 weeks before the Civil War started, Confederate Vice President Alexander Stephens proudly declared in his famous Cornerstone speech that the Confederacy rests upon the great truth that the Negro is not equal to the white man, that slavery, subordination to the superior race, is his natural and normal condition. This, our new government, is the first in the history of the world based upon this great physical, philosophical, and moral truth. Yet, in 1866, a year after the Civil War ended, a newspaperman named Edward Pollard advanced an idea that came to be known as the Lost Cause, that the Civil War was not fought over slavery, but over states' rights. Under this revisionist history, Southern states were no longer the bad guy infringing on the freedom of black people. The bad guy was the federal government infringing on their freedom to own slaves. By retroactively reframing the war as a fight over states' rights and not slaves' rights, the South could claim their cause was noble, which served as a coping mechanism for losing the war. The Lost Cause narrative was quickly adopted by the Southern Historical Society and then by the United Daughters of the Confederacy, a group of Southern white women who launched a PR campaign to spread the myth of a romanticized antebellum South ruined by the overreaching federal government. No single organization influenced the way educators teach the antebellum South and the Civil War more than the United Daughters of the Confederacy. By World War I, they had more members than any teachers' union, parent-teacher association, or historical society in America. Their history committee eventually became so powerful that they were not only allowed to choose which textbooks were acceptable for teaching history, but they began to write their own. And so fictions were created and perpetuated in schools across the country. In 1922, after using David S. Muzzey's American History textbook for more than a decade, the North Carolina Textbook Commission effectively banned the textbook from schools because it taught students that slavery caused the Civil War. Today, over 40% of Americans believe the Civil War was about something other than slavery, and that's due in no small part to how our textbooks have been rewritten to make our history of racial oppression more palatable to white Southerners. Meanwhile, calls for states' rights continues to be code for discrimination, for preventing the federal government from interfering with the racial hierarchy in the South. It was used by white supremacists in southern states to defend Jim Crow laws and school segregation and to oppose the Civil Rights Movement and the Voting Rights Act. And it continues to be used to reverse the gains of the Civil Rights era. To read more, check out my book, How to Win the War on Truth, available online and at your favorite booksellers. Special thanks to Alan Wincup for the illustrations, and thank you for watching.